Hey, what up, guys? Coming to you with another What's Next. This is on WBA regular light heavyweight champion Jean Pascal of Canada. Pascal last fought in December. Well, he's actually my number 6 light heavyweight in the world right now. That's 175 pounds. He last fought in December when he defended the title against Badou Jack and scored a hard-fought 12-round split decision over Jack in a really good fight. He hurt Jack badly in the 4th round, put him down, was winning the first half of the fight, and then second half, Jack did what he always does. He fought his ass off in the second half of the fight, took over, and hurt Pascal badly in the 10th and put him down. Pascal weathered the storm. Championship rounds were good rounds for both guys. Second half of the fight looked more Jack, and when we went to the scorecards, Jack had outlanded Pascal, but Pascal landed some really good shots, was busy in the fight, and he walked out with a very close, somewhat controversial 12-round split decision. In a fight that close, I can't say it was a rob job. You can't say controversy because a lot of people thought Badou Jack won, and I don't blame him. But Pascal walked out still the WBA light heavyweight champion. So Pascal was leaning towards a rematch with Badou Jack. It looked like the fight was about to get finalized for May. That fight's been put on the back burner, at least for now, as the PBC has announced all their fights through May. There's nobody going to be fighting in May. So the big question now is, what's next for Jean Pascal? So let's run through the top 10. Let's start with number 1, the undefeated unified champion, Artur Beterbiev. Pascal is still ranked pretty high in the WBC. But this fight's not possible to happen next. Beterbiev's lined up for a mandatory defense of against his IBF mandatory challenger Meng Fanlong of China, undefeated. So Pascal doesn't have a chance at Beterbiev next. Number 2, a third fight with former 3-time light heavyweight champion Sergey Kovalev. This wouldn't make any sense. I mean, I'm sure Pascal would want to crack at Kovalev, especially now that Kovalev's older and Pascal's kind of found a little bit of the fountain of youth. But Kovalev whipped his ass both times he fought him. I mean, if he wants to become a 4-time light heavyweight champion and take a shot at Kovalev, or take a shot at Pascal, okay. But Kovalev's talking about moving up to cruiserweight. You know, this would be to waste his time outside of gaining the money, because it would be a money fight. Outside of the money side of it and becoming a 4-time light heavyweight champ, you know, Kovalev would be risking too much, in my opinion. But to go in, he already knocked him out the first time. It was somewhat of a controversial ending, but I think he would have knocked him out anyways. Second time, he beat the shit out of Pascal. So there really doesn't need to be a third time. But I wouldn't completely rule it out because, again, it could make good money, and the distinction of being a 4-time light heavyweight champion for Kovalev is appealing. So we'll see. Number 3 is Eleider Alvarez. This fight's not going to happen. Alvarez is lined up in the 4-man box-off to determine the next WBO light heavyweight champion. That title was vacated by Canelo last year, so that there's no chance this one happens. Number 4 at light heavyweight is undefeated WBA, a rematch with undefeated WBA super champion Dimitri Bivol. I think if desperation set in and Pascal really pushed for the fight and Bivol couldn't find anybody else, I think the rematch could happen because, you know, Pascal does hold a secondary version of the belt that Bivol has, and he's got a name. But Bivol beat Pascal's ass the first time. So unless he's not really adding a belt because he's already the super champ here. So unless Bivol went into this fight saying, okay, this time I want to knock him out, I want to hurt him, and I want to knock him out, there would be no point. But, you know, but again, Bivol's at that stage where he's just desperate to get anybody in the ring. And if Pascal really wanted it and pushed for it, I think it could happen. But I think Pascal's got other good options where he doesn't have to go into a rematch with Bivol. And Bivol's a bad matchup for him, so I'm not seeing this one. Number 5 is the former WBC champion Alexander Votzik, the Nail. You know, I guess it's possible, but I don't think, you know, especially if they competed jointly for the WBA regular title and in a final eliminator for the WBC, because right now Pascal's number 2 in the WBC. But I mean, I don't know how he's a world champion and still ranked in other governing bodies. You think it's fucking stupid, but that's the the controversial corruption that we have going on in these governing bodies. But I don't see it either way. Votsick, I mean, I'm not to say he wouldn't take a guy like Pascal on, but Pascal has other better options. Votsick, I think, is a bad matchup. He's a very good boxer. Not a huge name either, so Pascal has other better options, in my opinion, to take. But I wouldn't completely rule it out. If Pascal wanted better BF next, he'd have to probably go through a guy like Votsick, who's sitting there atop the WBC rankings. He's at number 2, and I believe Pascal's number 3, actually. Next at number 6, well, Pascal's number 6. Number 7 is a rematch with former interim champion Marcus Brown. Pascal last year in 2019 beat Brown by a technical decision, I believe 7 or 8 round technical decision. He knocked Brown down 3 times, but that was after Brown was absolutely beating the shit out of John Pascal. He weathered the storm though. And how he did that was landing a flush fucking right hand in the 3rd round that put Brown down. Brown was still boxing well, but Pascal kept getting closer, and then he put him down 2 more times. And when it went to the scorecards because of a cut, and had to go to his scorecards earlier, he won by 1 point on every judge's scorecards. Those 3 knockdowns meant everything. He walked out, big upset victory, one of the biggest upsets of 2019. And now, he's become champion. Well, there was a mandatory rematch clause in the contract, but Brown, because of the cut that was suffered to Marcus Brown, he couldn't recover soon enough, so Pascal went on and fought Badou Jack. So, that being said, I think Badou Jack's a bigger name for Pascal, so he's probably going to lean towards a rematch with him before he would take on Marcus Brown in a rematch, but I wouldn't completely rule it out. If Pascal might see Brown as a more appealing one, so maybe he goes after that. But I don't think it's going to happen next. So that's where I'm going with that one. Number 8 is Badou Jack, a rematch with him. I absolutely believe this is going to be what he does next. I really think there's a strong possibility they're going to finalize a deal once they're able to, and these guys will collide for the WBA title next. Number 9 is undefeated former super middleweight champion Gilberto Ramirez. Not seeing this one right here. Ramirez is number 1 in the WBC, so conceivably he could face Pascal, some kind of an eliminator, and for the regular belt, but he's going through a contract dispute right now with Top Rank. He's trying to get out of his contract. I heard he was leaning towards signing with Matchroom, but that's all anybody's heard, and I think that he might be dealing with that for a while, so I'm not seeing him and Pascal lock horns next. And then finally at number 10 is Joe Smith Jr., former world title challenger. This fight's not going to happen. Joe Smith's in that 4-man box-off to determine the next WBO champion, and he's going to be most likely facing Eliter Alvarez next. That's the belt that Canelo gave up after he beat Kovalev. So that's it, running through the top 10 for Jean Pascal. Now, what do I think Jean Pascal is going to do next? I honestly believe he's going to face Badou Jack in a rematch. It makes the most sense. It was a very close, somewhat controversial decision, and I think they need to decide who the better man was, and I really think it's going to be a good one. If they do fight, I think Badou Jack's going to beat him, but Pascal was definitely in that first fight. It was a really good fight. He walked out with a close decision, and he could knock him out or hurt him early. He hurt him early the last time, so we'll see what happens. But that's it, guys. That's the what's next on the current WBA regular light heavyweight champion, Jean Pascal. Hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing, been hit with